Ji-Won wiped the sweat from her forehead as she walked through the cargo bay of Station Calros. The place smelled like oil and burnt metal. She had been working as a cargo hauler for 3 years now, moving supplies between planets and stations. It was hard work, but it paid enough to keep her ship running. The station was busy today. Aliens from dozens of different worlds walked past her. Some had 4 arms, others had scales or fur. Ji-Won was used to being the only human around. Humans were still new to this part of the galaxy. Most aliens thought humans were strange, too emotional, too soft. Ji-Won didn't care what they thought. She had a job to do. Her ship, the Morning Star, needed new fuel cells. She had come to the station to pick them up. After that, she would head to the outer colonies with her cargo of medical supplies. She turned a corner and found herself near the waste facility. This was where the station dumped all its trash. Giant machines crushed and sorted garbage all day long. The noise was terrible. Ji-Won walked faster, wanting to get away from the smell. That's when she heard it. A small sound. Almost like a cry. Ji-Won stopped. She looked around. The sound came again. It was weak and sad. She followed it to a large waste container near the wall. The container was full of broken equipment and rotting food. She climbed up the side and looked inside. At first she saw nothing but garbage. Then something moved. Something small and gray. Ji-Won's eyes went wide. It was a dragon. A real dragon. She had seen dragons before, but only from far away. They were huge creatures that could destroy ships with their breath. Dragon riders were some of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Everyone feared them, but this dragon was tiny. It was barely bigger than her hand. Its wings were folded against its body. Its scales looked dull and dirty. The creature's eyes were closed. It was breathing, but just barely. Ji-Won didn't think. She reached down and picked up the small dragon. It was so light. Its body was cold. The dragon opened its eyes for just a moment. They were dark and filled with pain. Then they closed again. "Hey!" a voice shouted. Ji-Won turned. The dockmaster, a tall alien with 6 eyes, was walking toward her. His name was Velcros. He ran this section of the station. "What are you doing in the waste area?" Velcros asked. Ji-Won held the dragon carefully. "I found this. It's still alive." Velcros looked at the creature and laughed. It was not a kind laugh. "That's a dwarf dragon. They're useless." "That's why someone threw it away." "Useless?" Ji-Won felt anger rise in her chest. "It's alive. How can you call it useless?" "Because that's what they are," Velcros said. He crossed his forearms. "Dwarf dragons are born weak. They can't breathe fire. They can't fly properly. They die young. The dragon clans throw them away. It's normal." "Normal?"
Ji-Won couldn't believe what she was hearing.
"You mean people just throw away babies because they're small?" "They're not babies. They're mistakes," Velcro said. "Now put it back. You have cargo to move." Ji-Won looked down at the tiny dragon in her hands. It was so small, so helpless. She thought about what Velcro said. The dragon clans threw these creatures away, left them to die in the garbage. She made a decision. "No." Velcros's eyes narrowed. "All 6 of them." "What did you say?" "I said no. I'm taking it with me." The dockmaster stepped closer. He was much bigger than Ji-Won. "You can't do that. It's against station rules. Dwarf dragons are classified as waste. If you take it, you're stealing." Ji-Won held the dragon closer to her chest. She could feel its tiny heartbeat. "Then I'm stealing. Report me if you want." Velcro stared at her for a long moment. Then he shook his head. "Humans. Always so emotional. Fine, take it. It will be dead in a week anyway. Then you'll understand why we don't waste time on such things." He turned and walked away. Ji-Won didn't wait. She hurried back to her ship. The Morning Star was docked at Platform 7. She climbed aboard and locked the door behind her. Only then did she let herself breathe. She looked down at the dragon. It was still unconscious. Its breathing was very slow. Ji-Won carried it to her sleeping quarters. She found a box and filled it with soft cloth. She placed the dragon inside carefully. "Okay, little one," she said softly. "Let's see what we can do." Ji-Won had some medical training. All cargo haulers did. You never knew when you might get hurt in space. But she had never treated a dragon before. She didn't even know if dragon biology was similar to human biology. She scanned the creature with her medical scanner. The results made her frown. The dragon was severely malnourished. Its body temperature was too low. Several of its internal systems were barely functioning. Ji-won worked for hours. She set up a heating pad under the box to warm the dragon. She mixed a nutrient solution and used a dropper to get tiny amounts into its mouth. She checked its vital signs every few minutes. The dragon didn't wake up, but it didn't die either. Its heartbeat became a little stronger. Its breathing became a little easier. As the hours passed, Ji-won found herself talking to the creature. "You're going to be okay," she said. "I know everyone thinks you're useless, but I don't. You're alive. That means you matter." She thought about her own life. She remembered being young and alone. She remembered people telling her she couldn't be a cargo hauler, that humans were too weak, too new to the galaxy. But she had proven them wrong. Maybe this little dragon could prove them wrong too. Night came to the station. The lights dimmed. Ji-won sat beside the box, watching the dragon breathe. She was tired, but she didn't want to sleep. What if the dragon needed her? She reached out and gently touched one of its wings. The wing was thin and delicate, like paper. She wondered if it could ever fly. "I'm going to call you Bomi," she whispered. "It means spring in my language, the time when things come back to life." The dragon didn't respond, but Ji-won thought she saw its breathing change. Just a little. As if it had heard her voice, she smiled. Maybe Velcros was right. Maybe the dragon would die in a week. But Ji-won didn't believe that. She had saved it from the garbage. She would save it from death too. That was what humans did. They didn't give up. They didn't throw away lives just because they seemed weak. They cared. They tried. Even when everyone else thought it was useless. 3 days had passed since Ji-won rescued Bomi from the waste facility. The tiny dragon was still alive, and that was something. Ji-won had delayed her cargo run to stay on the station. She told the shipping company her ship needed repairs. It was a lie, but she didn't care. Bomi needed her more than the company did. The dragon had woken up on the second day. Its eyes had opened slowly, confused and afraid. Ji-won had been there, speaking softly, telling it everything was okay. Bomi had tried to move but was too weak, so Ji-won had fed it more nutrient solution, drop by drop. Now on the third day, Bomi was a little stronger. The dragon could lift its head. It could move its legs slightly, but it still couldn't stand. Its wings remained folded against its small body. Ji-won sat on her bunk, holding Bomi in her lap. The dragon fit easily in her 2 hands. She stroked its scales gently. They were still gray, but they seemed a bit cleaner now. "Less dull. You're doing good, Bomi," she said. "Much better than 3 days ago." The dragon made a small sound. It wasn't quite a chirp. It wasn't quite a growl. It was something in between. Ji-won smiled. It was the first sound Bomi had made since waking up. Someone knocked on her ship's door. Ji-won frowned. She wasn't expecting visitors. She placed Bomi carefully in the box and went to answer. It was Day, a human mechanic who worked on the station. He was one of the few other humans Ji-won knew out here. They weren't exactly friends, but they helped each other sometimes. "Hey," Day said. "I heard you picked up something weird. Velcros has been talking about it all over the station." Ji-won sighed. Of course the dockmaster had spread the story. "Come in," Day stepped inside. He was tall and thin, with oil stains on his jacket. His eyes found the box immediately. "Is that it?" "His name is Bomi," Ji-won said. Day walked over and looked down at the dragon. His eyes went wide. "That's a dwarf dragon." "Ji-won, do you know what you've done?" "I saved a life." "You took trash from a waste facility," Day said. "The dragon clans don't want these things alive. They consider them shameful. If they find out you have one, there could be trouble." Ji-won crossed her arms. "Let them come. I'm not giving him back." Day ran a hand through his hair. "You're crazy. But I guess all humans are a little crazy." He looked at Bomi again. "Why is it so small?" Ji-won corrected. "And I don't know. That's just how dwarf dragons are born, I think." "Can it fly?" "Not yet. Maybe never. I don't know." Day shook his head. "Everyone on the station is laughing about this. They're calling it typical human behavior, getting attached to something worthless." "He's not worthless," Ji-won said firmly. "I know," Day said quietly. "I don't think he is either. I just wanted to warn you. Be careful. The dragon riders have spies everywhere." After Day left, Ji-won locked the door again. She went back to Bomi. The dragon was watching her with those dark eyes. There was something in that gaze. Something that made Ji-won think Bomi understood more than anyone realized. Don't listen to them, she said, picking him up. You're special. I know you are. Over the next week, Jiwon fell into a routine. She woke up early to feed Bomi. The dragon was eating more now. She had found a special protein paste that seemed to agree with his stomach. She warmed it slightly before feeding him. Bomi would eat slowly, taking small bites from her finger. After eating, he would make that strange sound again. Jiwon decided it was his way of saying thank you. She spent hours talking to him. She told him about Earth, the planet where humans came from. She told him about trees and oceans and rain. Bomi would watch her face as she spoke, his eyes never leaving hers. I think you're listening, Jiwon said one day. I think you understand me. Bomi tilted his head. It was such a simple gesture, but it filled Jiwon with joy. He was responding to her, learning from her. She started carrying him around the ship as she worked. He seemed to like being near her. When she put him down, he would make sad sounds until she picked him up again. Okay, she would laugh. You're just like a baby. But Bomi wasn't really like a baby. He was learning too fast. By the second week, he could walk. His steps were wobbly at first, but he got better quickly. He would follow Jiwon around the ship, his tiny claws clicking on the metal floor. By the third week, something amazing happened. Jiwon was working on the ship's engine when she noticed Bomi staring at a tool she had dropped. The tool was on a high shelf, too high for the dragon to reach. She watched as Bomi spread his wings. They were still small and delicate. She didn't think they could possibly lift him. But Bomi flapped them once, twice, and then he was in the air. It wasn't graceful. He wobbled and spun. But he flew to the shelf, grabbed the tool in his mouth, and flew back down to Jiwon. She was speechless. She took the tool from him and knelt down. Bomi, you flew! Everyone said dwarf dragons couldn't fly properly, but you did it. Bomi made his happy sound. Then he did something new. His scales flickered. Just for a moment, they changed from gray to a light gold color. Then they went back to gray. Jiwon gasped. Did you just change color? Bomi tilted his head again. His eyes seemed to sparkle. From that day on, Bomi practiced flying every day. He got better and better. He could now fly from one end of the ship to the other without wobbling. He seemed to love being in the air, and his scales kept changing. Each day they became a little less gray, a little more gold. Jiwon didn't know what it meant, but she thought it was beautiful. Other people started to notice too. When Jiwon took Bomi out into the station, aliens would stop and stare. Some laughed. Some looked disgusted. But some looked curious. An alien merchant, a female with blue skin and 4 arms, approached Jiwon one day. That's a dwarf dragon, she said. Yes, Jiwon replied. I've never seen one look so healthy, the merchant said. Or so bright. He's special, Jiwon said, holding Bomi close. The merchant smiled. Maybe. Or maybe you're special. Humans have a strange gift. You see value where others see none. After the merchant left, Jiwon looked down at Bomi. The dragon was curled up in her arms, content and safe. His scales were now more gold than gray. He looked at her with complete trust. You know what, Bomi? Jiwon whispered. I think we're going to prove everyone wrong. They think you're useless, but I know the truth. You're amazing, Bomi's scales flickered bright gold. He made his happy sound. And for the first time since Jiwon had found him, he licked her hand. It was a small gesture. Simple, but it meant everything. The bond between them was complete. A human and a dragon. 2 beings that weren't supposed to matter. 2 beings that the galaxy had tried to throw away. But they had found each other. And together, they were stronger than either could be alone. Jiwon knew there would be challenges ahead. Day's warning echoed in her mind. The dragon clans wouldn't be happy. Other aliens would continue to mock them. But she didn't care. She had saved Bomi from death. And in return, Bomi had given her something precious, purpose, joy, love. That was worth fighting for. That was worth everything. 6 months had passed. Bomi was no longer the tiny, dying creature Jiwon had pulled from the garbage. He was still small compared to regular dragons, but he had grown. He was now the size of a large cat. His scales had turned completely gold, bright and beautiful. When light hit him, he seemed to glow. Jiwon had finally left Station Calros. She and Bomi had traveled to 3 different colonies, delivering cargo. Everywhere they went, people stared. Some were amazed. Most were confused. A human with a dwarf dragon? It was unheard of. But Jiwon didn't care about the stares anymore. She had Bomi. He was her co-pilot now. He would sit in the chair next to her as she flew the Morning Star. He couldn't reach the controls, but he watched everything she did. Sometimes G1 thought he understood how the ship worked better than she did. Bomi had developed amazing abilities. He could fly faster than any bird G1 had ever seen on Earth. He could sense danger before it happened. Twice he had warned G1 about engine problems before the ship's computer detected them. He would make urgent sounds and fly to the problem area. Each time G1 found something wrong that could have killed them both. "You're like a living sensor," she told him one day. "How do you do that?" Bomi just made his happy sound and rubbed his head against her arm. But there was something else. Something G1 had noticed but didn't fully understand. Bomi didn't eat much. A creature his size should need more food, but he seemed to survive on very little, and his energy never ran out. He could fly for hours without getting tired. It didn't make sense. But G1 wasn't a scientist. She was just a cargo hauler who loved her dragon. Everything changed when they arrived at Research Station Nova. G1 was delivering medical equipment. The station was run by scientists from dozens of different species. They studied everything from planets to diseases to alien technology. As G1 was unloading her cargo, a scientist approached her. He was human, which surprised G1. She didn't meet many other humans this far out in space. "Excuse me," the man said. "Is that a dwarf dragon?" G1 looked at Bomi, who was sitting on her shoulder. "Yes, his name is Bomi." The scientist's eyes went wide. "Incredible. I've never seen one up close. They're usually dead before anyone can study them." "My name is Hyun. I'm a xenobiologist." "G1," she said. "I'm just a cargo hauler. May I examine your dragon?" Hyun asked. "I promise I won't hurt him. I'm just curious. Dwarf dragons are a mystery in the scientific community. No one knows much about them because the dragon clans refuse to let anyone study them." G1 looked at Bomi. The dragon looked back at her. She could see trust in his eyes. "What do you think, Bomi? Want to meet a scientist?" Bomi made a sound that seemed like agreement. G1 smiled. "Okay, but I'm staying with him the whole time." "Of course," Hyun said. They went to Hyun's laboratory. It was filled with strange equipment and computers. Hyun was gentle with Bomi. He used scanners that didn't touch the dragon's body. He asked G1 questions about what Bomi ate, how he behaved, what abilities he showed. As Hyun worked, his expression changed from curious to shocked to amazed. "This is impossible," he muttered, looking at his screens. "What is?" G1 asked. Hyun turned to her. His face was pale. "Your dragon. He's not defective. He's perfect." "What do you mean?" Hyun pulled up images on his main screen. "Look at this. This is a scan of a regular dragon's energy system. See how much fuel they need? They have to eat constantly. They burn energy like crazy, especially when they fly or breathe fire." "Okay," G1 said, not really understanding. "Now look at Bomi's energy system." Hyun pulled up another image. He converts energy with almost perfect efficiency. He can take a small amount of food and power himself for days, maybe weeks. He wastes almost nothing. G1 stared at the screen. "Is that good? Good. It's revolutionary," Hyun said excitedly. "Do you know what this means?" Regular dragons are powerful, yes, but they're inefficient. They need huge amounts of resources. That's why dragon riders are always raiding other worlds for food and fuel. But Bomi, he could fly across the galaxy on a fraction of the energy. G1 felt her heart beat faster. "So he's not useless?" "Useless. He's the opposite of useless," Hyun said. "Look at this. His cellular structure is different too. His cells regenerate faster. He heals quicker. He might even live longer than regular dragons, but why?" G1 asked. "Why are dwarf dragons different?" Hyun sat down. He looked troubled. "I have a theory. I think dwarf dragons aren't mistakes. I think they're the next step in dragon evolution. More efficient, more advanced, better adapted for long-term survival. Then why do the dragon clans throw them away?" Hyun was quiet for a moment. "Fear," he finally said. "Think about it. The dragon clans rule through power. They're the strongest, so everyone fears them. But what if there was a type of dragon that was better, smarter, more efficient? The clans wouldn't be special anymore." G1 felt anger rise in her chest. "So they kill their own children? Just to stay in power?" "I think so," Hyun said sadly. "They call them defective, useless. They throw them away before anyone can see the truth. Before anyone can discover what dwarf dragons really are." Ji-won picked up Bomi and held him close. The dragon nuzzled her cheek. That's horrible. It is, Hyun agreed. But you saved him. You gave him a chance to grow, to show what he could really do. He looked at Bomi with wonder. There's something else. Something I noticed in the scans. What? Bomi's brain, Hyun said. It's more complex than a regular dragon's brain. Much more complex. I think dwarf dragons might be more intelligent too. Ji-won thought about all the times Bomi had understood her. All the times he had solved problems or warned her of danger. I always thought he was smart, but I didn't know how smart. I'd like to run more tests, Hyun said. With your permission, of course. This could change everything we know about dragons. It could change the balance of power in the galaxy. But Ji-won shook her head. No more tests. Not right now. Bomi isn't a science project. He's my friend. Hyun looked disappointed but nodded. I understand. But please think about it. The information we could learn, it could save other dwarf dragons. If we can prove they're superior, maybe the clans would stop killing them. Maybe, Ji-won said. Or maybe they'd try harder to kill them all. To hide the evidence. She left the laboratory with Bomi. Her mind was racing. Everything she had learned changed things. Bomi wasn't just special because she loved him. He was objectively special. He was better than the dragons everyone feared, and that made him dangerous. To the dragon clans. To anyone who wanted to keep the current power structure. As they walked back to the Morning Star, Ji-won noticed someone watching them. An alien with red scales and cold eyes. The alien wore the markings of a dragon rider. Ji-won's blood ran cold. She walked faster. The alien followed. She could hear footsteps behind her. Getting closer, she reached her ship and ran inside. She locked the door and activated the security systems. Through the window, she saw the alien standing outside staring at her ship. Then the alien spoke into a communication device and walked away. Ji-won's hands were shaking. She looked at Bomi. They know about you now. Don't they? Bomi made a worried sound. For the first time since she had saved him, he looked afraid. Ji-won held him close. Don't worry. I won't let anyone hurt you. I promise. But as she sat there in her ship, she knew everything had changed. It wasn't just about saving one small dragon anymore. Hyun was right. This was bigger. This could change the galaxy, and the dragon clans would do anything to stop that from happening. Ji-won looked at Bomi's golden scales, shining in the dim light of her ship. She thought about what Hyun had said. Superior, more efficient. The next evolution. We're in trouble now, aren't we? She whispered. Bomi's eyes met hers, those dark, intelligent eyes. And in them, Ji-won saw something new. Not fear, not worry. Something else. Determination. The same determination she felt. The same refusal to give up. Bomi had survived being thrown away. He had survived starvation and cold and death. He had grown strong because Ji-won believed in him. Now they would face this new challenge together. Human and dragon, two beings the galaxy had underestimated, and they would prove everyone wrong. Again. Ji-won tried to leave Research Station Nova immediately, but there was a problem. Her ship's fuel cells had been damaged during the last supply run. She needed repairs before she could make the jump to the next system. The station's mechanic said it would take 2 days. 2 days felt like forever. Ji-won kept Bomi inside the ship. She didn't go out except to get food and supplies. Every time she left, she felt eyes watching her. The dragon rider she had seen before was still on the station. She spotted him twice more, always watching, always waiting. On the second day, Hyun came to visit. He looked worried. You need to leave, he said as soon as Ji-won opened the door. Today, right now. The repairs aren't done yet, Ji-won said. I don't care. You have to go. Hyun glanced behind him nervously. I made a mistake. I sent my research data to a colleague. I wanted a second opinion on Bomi's scans, but my colleague shared it with someone else. And now everyone knows. Ji-won felt her stomach drop. Everyone? The dragon clans, Hyun said. They have informants everywhere. They know about Bomi, they know what he is. What he represents, and what do we do? Run, Hyun said simply. Get your ship fixed and run. Don't stop anywhere. The dragon clans have influence, which is most places. Before Ji-won could respond, alarms started blaring. Red lights flashed throughout the station. An automated voice spoke over the speakers. Attention. Incoming vessels. Dragon clan warships. All personnel remain calm. Ji-won's blood turned to ice. They're here. Go, Hyun said. I'll try to delay them. Tell them you already left. Buy you some time. Thank you, Ji-won said. She closed the door and ran to the cockpit. Bomi was already there, sitting in his chair. He looked at her with those knowing eyes. He understood. Somehow he always understood. We're leaving, Ji-won said. Repairs or no repairs. We'll limp to the nearest safe planet if we have to. She started the engines. They coughed and sputtered. The fuel cells were only half repaired. But they worked. Barely. Ji-won pulled up the station's flight control channel. This is the Morning Star requesting immediate departure clearance. There was a long pause. Then a voice responded. Negative, Morning Star. All ships are grounded by order of the Dragon Lords. No one leaves until they complete their inspection. Inspection of what? Ji-won asked, though she already knew the answer. They're looking for something, the voice said. Or someone. Ji-won closed the channel. She looked at the station's docking clamps. They were still attached to her ship. She couldn't leave without removing them. And removing them without clearance would set off more alarms. Bomi made a sound. He was looking at the docking clamp controls. I know, Ji-won said. But if we break the clamps, they'll know we're running. They'll chase us. Bomi made the sound again, more insistent this time. Then he flew to the main screen and tapped it with his claw. The screen showed the space around the station. 3 massive warships had just arrived. They were shaped like dragons, all sharp angles and gleaming scales. Weapons bristled from every surface. As Ji-won watched, smaller ships launched from the warships. Dozens of them. They spread out around the station, blocking all the exits. They're not just here to inspect, Ji-won whispered. They're here to trap us. A new voice came over the communication channel. It was deep and cold. Attention, Morning Star. This is Dragon Lord Taemin of the Red Scale clan. We know you have property that belongs to us. A dwarf dragon. Return it immediately and you will not be harmed. Ji-won didn't respond. Her mind was racing. She couldn't fight. Her cargo ship had no weapons. She couldn't run. The warships were faster. She was trapped. Bomi flew to her and landed on her shoulder. He rubbed his head against her cheek. It was a comforting gesture. A gesture that said, we'll get through this together. Ji-won made her decision. She opened the communication channel. This is Ji-won of the Morning Star. Bomi doesn't belong to you. He's not property. He's a living being with his own thoughts and feelings. There was silence. Then Dragon Lord Taemin laughed. It was a terrible sound. You are human. You do not understand our ways. Dwarf dragons are defective. They are disposed of because they are weak, useless. He's not weak, Ji-won said. And he's not useless. He's smarter and stronger than you think. That's why you're really here, isn't it? You're afraid of him. The laughter stopped. When Taemin spoke again, his voice was full of anger. You know nothing. That creature is an abomination. It should have died in the waste where it belonged. Return it now, or we will take it by force, and we will destroy you in the process. No, Ji-won said. Then you choose death. The communication channel closed. Ji-won watched as the smaller ships moved closer to the station. They were preparing to board. Hold on, Bomi, she said. This is going to get rough. She powered up all her ship's systems. The engines screamed in protest. The half-repaired fuel cells sparked and smoked. But they worked. She fired the emergency release on the docking clamps. Metal groaned and tore. Alarms blared louder. The Morning Star broke free from the station. Ji-won pushed the throttle forward. The ship lurched into space. Behind her, she could hear station control shouting. The dragon ships were moving. Coming after her. Come on, Ji-won muttered. Just get us to jump range, but the dragon ships were fast. So fast. They closed the distance in seconds. Ji-won's screen lit up with warnings. Weapons were locking onto her ship. Bomi, get in the emergency pod, Ji-won said. If they destroy the ship, the pod will launch automatically. He'll survive, but Bomi didn't move. He stayed on her shoulder, making sounds. Angry sounds. For the first time since she had known him, Bomi sounded furious. Please, Ji-won begged. I need to know you'll be safe. Bomi looked at her. And then he did something incredible. His scales began to glow. Not just shimmer. Glow. Bright gold light filled the cockpit. The light got brighter and brighter until Ji-won had to close her eyes. When she opened them, Bomi was flying toward the airlock. What are you doing? Ji-won shouted, but Bomi didn't stop. He waited by the airlock door. He looked back at her one more time. His eyes said everything. Trust me. G1's hands were shaking. But she trusted him. She opened the airlock. Bomi flew out into space. Through the cockpit window, G1 watched as Bomi's body changed. He grew, not huge like a regular dragon, but bigger. His wings spread wide, the golden glow around him intensified, and then he flew straight at the nearest dragon ship, the small dragon against the massive warship. It should have been suicide, but something happened. As Bomi approached, his body seemed to flicker. One moment he was there. The next moment he was somewhere else. He was teleporting. Short jumps, but perfectly timed. The dragon ship's weapons couldn't hit him. They fired again and again, but Bomi was always somewhere else. He reached the ship's hull. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's lights flickered. Its engines sputtered. The ship began to drift, powerless. Bomi had somehow drained its energy. All of it. In seconds. The other dragon ships stopped advancing. G1 could imagine the confusion inside them. What had just happened? How had a dwarf dragon disabled a warship? Bomi flew back toward the morning star. But he didn't come inside. Instead, he positioned himself between G1's ship and the dragon fleet. His small body glowing like a star. A challenge. A warning. Dragon Lord Taemon's voice came over the channel again. But this time there was no laughter. Only shock. Impossible. Dwarf dragons cannot do that. They cannot have that kind of power. G1 found her voice. You were wrong about him. You were wrong about all of them. You throw them away because you're afraid. Afraid they'll replace you. Afraid they'll show everyone that you're not as special as you think. We are the Dragon Lords, Taemon roared. We rule this galaxy. We will not be threatened by a human and a genetic mistake. Then come and try to take him, G1 said. But I'm warning you. Bomi won't let you hurt me, and I won't let you hurt him. We protect each other. That's what friends do. 2 more dragon ships moved forward. Their weapons powered up. But before they could fire, Bomi flew at them. His body flickered and jumped through space. He touched each ship for just a moment. And both ships went dark, powerless, drifting. The remaining ships stopped. G1 could almost feel their fear. 3 warships, disabled by 1 small dragon. It shouldn't be possible. But it was happening. This is your last chance, G1 said. Leave us alone, let us go. Or Bomi will keep doing this to every ship you send. There was a long, long silence. Finally, Taemon spoke. This is not over, human. We will find you. We will take that abomination, and we will end this. The dragon ships began to retreat. Slowly, reluctantly, but they left. They pulled back and jumped to hyperspace, leaving their 3 disabled ships behind. Bomi flew back to the morning star. G1 opened the airlock and he came inside. As soon as he entered, his glow faded. He shrank back to his normal size. He flew to G1 and collapsed in her arms, exhausted. You did it, G1 whispered, tears streaming down her face. You saved us, Bomi made a weak sound. His happy sound. But tired, so tired. G1 held him close as she piloted the ship away from the station, away from danger, toward safety, if there was any safety left in the galaxy. She knew Taemon had told the truth. This wasn't over. The dragon clans would come again, stronger, more prepared. They wouldn't underestimate Bomi twice, but for now they were alive. Together. And that was enough. 3 months had passed since the confrontation with Dragon Lord Taemon. G1 had kept moving, never staying in one place too long. She took cargo jobs in remote systems where the dragon clans had little influence. It wasn't easy. She was constantly looking over her shoulder, constantly worried, but Bomi was getting stronger every day. He had recovered from using his powers at the station, and he was learning to control them better. He could now teleport longer distances. He could drain energy from ships or stations without exhausting himself. He was becoming something incredible. More importantly, he was happy. That was what amazed G1 the most. Despite the danger, despite being hunted, Bomi radiated pure joy. When he flew around the ship, his golden scales would shimmer and flash. When G1 talked to him, he would tilt his head and make excited sounds. When they landed at stations, he would explore everything with curiosity and wonder. Bomi loved life. He loved flying. He loved learning. He loved G1, and that joy was infectious. Even when G1 felt scared or tired, Bomi's happiness would lift her spirits. He reminded her why they were fighting, why it all mattered. They were at a small trading post called Haven's Edge when everything changed. Ji-won was picking up supplies when she noticed a crowd gathering near the docks. She walked over to see what was happening. A cargo ship had just arrived, and from it came another human, a woman carrying a box. In the box was something small, something that made quiet crying sounds. Ji-won pushed through the crowd. She saw what was in the box and her heart stopped. It was a dwarf dragon, smaller than Bomi had been when she found him. Its scales were pale gray. It was shaking and weak. The woman looked overwhelmed. Aliens were yelling at her, telling her to throw the creature away, telling her she was stupid for taking it. The same things they had said to Ji-won months ago. "Hey," Ji-won called out. "Leave her alone!" The crowd turned. Some of them recognized Ji-won. Recognition spread through the group. "That's the human with the dwarf dragon," someone whispered. "The one who fought the dragon lords." Ji-won walked up to the woman. "Where did you find it?" The woman looked relieved to see another human. "In a waste disposal unit. On Station Meridian. They were going to incinerate it. I couldn't let that happen." Her eyes were full of tears. "But I don't know what to do. Everyone says I should put it back. That it's going to die anyway." "Don't listen to them," Ji-won said firmly. "Bring it to my ship. I'll show you how to help it." The crowd started shouting again, but then Bomi flew down from the morning star. He landed on Ji-won's shoulder, his scales glowing bright gold. The crowd went silent. They all knew what Bomi had done. Word had spread across the stations. The dwarf dragon who had defeated Dragon Lord warships. No one said another word as Ji-won and the woman walked to the morning star. Once inside, Ji-won helped the woman care for the tiny dragon. She showed her how to mix the nutrient solution, how to warm the creature, how to speak softly and let it know it was safe. "What's your name?" Ji-won asked. "Mina," the woman said. "I work on a mining ship. I've heard stories about you, about how you saved a dwarf dragon. I thought they were just rumors." "They're true," Ji-won said. She looked at Bomi, who was watching the small dragon with interest. "This is Bomi. He's proof that dwarf dragons aren't useless." "They're amazing." Mina looked at Bomi with wonder. "He's beautiful. So bright." "He wasn't always," Ji-won said. "When I found him, he looked like yours. Gray and dying, but with care and love he became this." The small dragon in Mina's box made a sound. Bomi flew over and looked down at it. He made soft sounds, almost like he was talking to it. The small dragon's crying stopped. It looked up at Bomi with wide eyes. "I think Bomi is telling it everything will be okay," Ji-won said, smiling. Over the next few days, Ji-won taught Mina everything she knew about caring for dwarf dragons. Mina named her dragon Hanul, which meant sky. Under their care, Hanul began to grow stronger. His scales started to change from gray to a light blue color. "Each one is different," Ji-won observed. "Bomi is gold. Hanul is blue. I wonder what it means." "Maybe it's like human hair color," Mina suggested. "Just natural variation." Word of Hanul's rescue spread quickly. Within a week, 2 more humans arrived at Haven's Edge. One was a man named Junho. He had found a dwarf dragon on an ice planet. The other was a woman named Yunha. She had rescued one from a scrapyard. Ji-won couldn't believe it. "How did you all find dwarf dragons at the same time?" "We didn't find them at the same time," Junho explained. "But we heard about you, about what you did. It inspired us. When we saw dwarf dragons being thrown away, we couldn't ignore it. We had to try to save them. Soon more humans came. Some had found dwarf dragons. Others had heard about the rescues and wanted to help. Haven's Edge became an unofficial sanctuary, a place where dwarf dragons were safe, where they could grow and learn and be happy. The dragons, as they healed and grew, began to show their unique abilities. Bomi could teleport and drain energy. Hanul could generate powerful shields of force. Junho's dragon, who he named Biol, could become invisible. Juna's dragon, Nabi, could heal injuries with her touch. "They're all different," Ji-won said to the group one day, "but they're all special. The dragon clans were fools to throw them away." "What do we do now?" Mina asked. "The dragon lords will come eventually. They'll try to take the dragons, or kill them." Ji-won looked at Bomi. He was playing with the other young dragons, teaching them to fly better. His joy was pure and real. She made her decision. "We fight," she said, "but not with violence. Not unless we have to. We fight by showing the galaxy the truth. We show them that dwarf dragons aren't mistakes, that they're the future." "How do we do that?" Junho asked. "We travel together," Ji-won said. "All of us. We go to stations and colonies. We let people see the dragons, see how amazing they are. We rescue more of them. We build something the dragon clans can't destroy. A movement, Yuna said softly. Exactly, Ji-Wan agreed. A movement of humans and dragons, working together, proving that compassion is stronger than cruelty. It wasn't easy. The dragon clan sent threats. They tried to bribe officials to arrest the humans. They spread lies about dwarf dragons being dangerous. But slowly things began to change. More humans rescued dwarf dragons. The rescued dragons grew strong and healthy, displaying abilities that amazed everyone who saw them. Aliens who had mocked Ji-Wan began to wonder. If dwarf dragons were truly useless, how could they do such incredible things? Scientists like Hyun published research showing the truth. Media across the galaxy shared stories of the rescued dragons. The dragon clans tried to suppress the information, but they couldn't. It spread too fast. Too far, the truth was out. Dwarf dragons were superior, more efficient, more intelligent. The next step in dragon evolution, and the dragon clans had been killing them out of fear. Public opinion turned. Many species began to see the dragon clans differently, not as noble rulers, but as tyrants who murdered their own children to maintain power. The clan's influence began to weaken. 6 months after Mina rescued Haniul, Dragon Lord Taemin sent another message. Ji-Wan was expecting threats, demands, but instead he sounded tired. You have won, human, Taemin said. The other clans are abandoning the old ways. They are keeping their dwarf dragon offspring. Some are even sending them to you, to learn from you. Why? Ji-Wan asked. Why give up now? Because we cannot fight the truth forever, Taemin replied. The galaxy knows what we did, what we are. We must adapt or be destroyed. There was a pause. I still believe we were right to fear them. Your dragons will replace us. They will make us obsolete, maybe, Ji-Wan said. But maybe that's how it should be. Maybe it's time for something better. Taemin ended the transmission without another word. Ji-Wan never heard from him again. Life changed after that. The humans and their dragons became a common sight across the galaxy. They worked together, human and dragon, in perfect partnership. The dragons used their abilities to help, to heal, to protect. And everywhere they went, they brought joy. Bomi became famous. People called him the first free dragon. Children would ask to see him fly. Scientists would ask to study his abilities. But to Ji-Wan, he was just Bomi, her friend, her partner, the little dragon she had saved from the garbage. One day, as they flew between stars, Ji-Wan looked at Bomi. He was sleeping in his chair, curled up like a cat. His golden scales glowed softly in the cockpit light. She thought about everything that had happened, everything they had accomplished together. Hey, Bomi, she said softly. He opened one eye and looked at her. Do you remember when everyone called you useless? Ji-Wan asked. Bomi made a sound. It wasn't sad. It was almost like he was laughing, as if the memory was so ridiculous it was funny. Yeah, Ji-Wan said, smiling. Me too, they were so wrong. You're not useless. You never were. You're pure joy with wings. Bomi's scales flashed bright gold. He flew over and landed in her lap. He looked up at her with those dark, intelligent eyes full of love and trust, and then he made his happy sound. The sound that meant everything was good. Everything was right. Ji-Wan hugged him gently. Outside the cockpit window, the stars stretched endlessly. A whole galaxy of possibilities, of worlds to explore, of lives to save, of joy to spread. It had all started with one decision. One moment when Ji-Wan chose compassion over convenience.